Hey guys, if you watched my videos 2 videos back, I said a whole bunch of signs and, not signs and symptoms, nurse talking, a whole bunch of signs that you have way too much stuff. And if you watch that video feeling hopeless, worthless, and all those terrible feelings, well, I have news for you. 1, I didn't want you to feel that way. 2, here are a bunch of decluttering tips. A lot of them I used myself, and others were things that weren't really applied to me, but I know they'd helped other people. So my number 1 biggest tip, so figure out like your goal. What is your reasoning for decluttering? For me, I want to be able to travel freely, also to decrease anxiety and to have peace of mind and to come home feeling relaxed. So whatever is motivating you right now to get rid of some stuff, keep that in your mind, and every item you go through as you're decluttering, ask yourself, is this, whatever it is, helping me to have more peace of mind? And if it's not, is it worth the cost that it has? My second tip that I think is really useful is to start somewhere small and somewhere that stresses you out. For example, if your closet, every time you walk into it, it's a huge mess. There's clothes on the floor, everything's packed. Don't start with your whole closet. Maybe go into your closet and start with your underwear, or start with your socks. Start somewhere easy. Do that one thing, and then once you declutter that area, you'll feel really good about it, and you'll be more motivated to do other areas in your closet or wherever that area that's stressing you out is. Tip number 3, make like 4 areas or boxes. Don't go out and buy stuff before you start decluttering. I remember I did that. I bought a bunch of storage and organization options, and then within a couple months I didn't need those things because everything that I was planning to put in there was gone. Have a trash pile, have a sell pile, have a maybe pile, and a giveaway pile. The maybe box is something that you can put everything in there, box it up, maybe don't look at it for 6 months or so. If you happen to reach for something out of the maybe box, take it out. Step number 4, I think, is to find a home for everything. For example, I always put my lunchbox on top of my fridge. I keep my art stuff on that shelf. Whenever you're not using something, just have a place for it to go. That way it's not taking up space on surfaces that should be cleared. Tip number 5, this is for paper clutter for the most part. A lot of people have mail, notes, things like that. Again, have a home from everything. Have a place for papers to go as soon as they enter your home, whether that's like receipts, mail, things that you kind of need to deal with. Have a little section for that paper to deal with, and then within a week, or maybe once a week is what I do, I go through all of my mail. I recycle envelopes. I keep the papers I need to keep. Most of the time I don't keep anything. There is an app called Tiny Scanner that I use, and I use it to take pictures of all of my W-2s, important information that I don't want to get rid of. And what it does is it turns everything into PDF for you, so you can upload it onto your computer, onto a cloud, wherever you want to keep those documents. This is what I keep all of my important paper documents in, and honestly this is the most important thing. I have my birth certificate, the original one, and copies, my passport, cards that I don't really use, like my health insurance card and stuff like that. I'll take it out of here if I'm going to an appointment, but I've been really bad about going. My BLS card, my ACLS card for nursing, and then in here I have information about Myers-Briggs, because I like to be able to look at people and just be like, I wonder what their personality type is. Definitely not necessary. And then stuff from when I bought my car, and a copy of my resume. That is all the paper that I physically keep with me. I also did the same thing with my notes from nursing school. Those 4 binders you see right there, it's all that I kept, and I kept 2 books, and I have a couple little ebooks on my laptop. Tip number 5 or 6, I've lost count, so I'm just gonna stop saying it. Have a 1 in, 1 out rule. With minimalism, it's cool to declutter, but if you keep buying a bunch of stuff, those places are just gonna get recluttered real fast. So what I like to do is I ask myself, am I gonna use this item once a week? If I'm not, I probably can get around it. Instead of buying something, if it's possible for you to rent or borrow it, do that. For example, I hardly ever bake, and when I do and I need to borrow like cookie sheets or something, I borrow it from my friend who lives down the hall, who is more than happy to let me borrow their stuff, because then I just give them cookies or cake or whatever I'm using it for. Another thing that's really easy to get rid of is multiples. So if you have 3 black V-necks, keep your favorite. Another thing that I realized with minimalism is that growing up, we had our nice china that we only use on Thanksgiving and Christmas. With minimalism, I'm finding that I'm using my nice things on a daily basis versus saving it for once or twice a year, which is a nice feeling. I wear my favorite shirt all the time. Wearing your favorite clothes every day is a really nice feeling. Now that I've been doing this for a long time, basically everything that I own is kind of like my favorite thing of that thing, versus oh, I'm gonna only wear my nice thing when I have a fancy occasion. I don't know, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So yeah, you've probably heard a lot of people too talk about minimalism, say buy higher quality of things, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean spend more money on things. Sometimes you can find a nice sweater at Forever 21, probably not though. But maybe Old Navy would have a nicer sweater than Forever 21. I don't know. Just because you spent a lot of money on something doesn't make that thing likely to survive a lot of use and abuse. For sentimental things, let me know if you guys want me to make a video about that. And for like digital clutter related to social media, there's a lot of areas of minimalism that are a lot more important than the stuff, but I think stuff is what gets a lot of people interested at first. Like you can minimalize your relationships by taking out fake friends and keeping appointments that you don't really care about and having that time to yourself or to spend with people that you really care about. A lot of people ask me if I regret giving away anything that I have gotten rid of in the past, and the answer is no. The one exception to that is this one time at Halloween, I remember like, oh man, I wish I still had those shoes because I would have worn it with my Halloween costume. Occasionally I'll look back in photos like, oh, I like that shirt. Why did I stop wearing it? Like, why did I get rid of it? And I trust myself enough to know that I probably gave it away for a good reason. But that's like the only times those feelings ever really come up for me. Some little things that I've heard over time that I want to share with you guys because I think it might help you motivate a little bit better. The minimalist, they have this 20-20 rule. They use it when they're traveling, but I think you can apply it to your home life too. They say if it's less than $20 and it's less than 20 minutes to replace that thing, go ahead and get rid of it. Another one I saw is I watched this TED Talk a few months ago, and it was this lady saying how when she was little, she wrote maybe 5 or 6 life goals that she had for herself. One was to learn a foreign language, one was to publish a book, another was to live abroad, study grad school, a couple of things like that. I think a lot of people have very similar goals. And she looked at all of her goals. She found the list and when she was in her early 30s, and basically everything was exactly the same, but she'd only accomplished 2 of those things. But she looked at her life and she was like, wow, I have this huge 2-story house, I have 3 cars between me and my husband, we have all of these nice things, you have this really expensive furniture and this TV. And she was like, but that was never really on my list. It just kind of was something that happened that I thought I should do. She talks about how her and her husband got rid of all that stuff that wasn't really on their list so they could do the things that were on their list. And I really liked how she explained it that way. Yeah, I am facing my fears, kind of. If you've been following me for a little while, I went to Paris and London. It was kind of a solo trip. I booked the trip by myself, but I was meeting up with a tour group and everything was planned out for me when I got there. But the other day I was looking at my Instagram story and I had some friends in Chicago and I was like, man, I would love to go to Chicago. And I was like, but I can't. But then I looked at my schedule and I was like, oh, I have 5 days off in a row. And then I went to skyscanner.com and flights were showing up for $87 and I was like, hold up, I could totally make this work. And so on a whim, I decided to book the trips. And while this is really scary, I was like, okay, I can handle 48-ish hours worth of possible anxiety. And I keep waking up in the mornings and I'm like, oh my god, why am I doing this? Because I'm planning this trip out 5 days from today and I booked it yesterday. So yeah, I'm going out on a whim and I will film the whole beginning to end process and a little Chicago vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know anything else you want to see down below. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.